Hey, this is Matthew with Another World Terraria. Welcome to part 3 of my tutorial on how to build a bioactive grow bin. In this video, we're going to add the substrate and plants. Okay, now we're going to start planting up the tub. First, we're going to insert the substrate. In this case, I'm using sphagnum moss, which is what I use for most of my bins, because most of the type of plants I grow do really well on it. For some plants, I'll use other substrate. For example, I make some bins like this, but for Bucephalandra, and in those I use Fluval stratum and sometimes lava rock. In this case, I'm not going to use any drainage layer because with sphagnum, I'm pretty used to using it, and I don't typically overwater it. I just kind of am careful not to overwater, so it doesn't really need a drainage layer, but you can feel free to if you want. The amount of substrate is going to depend on what type of plants you're growing, how large they get, and what their moisture preferences are, and so forth. I typically don't do it too deep. If I'm growing plants that have big root systems that are larger plants, then maybe I would, but usually I go maybe an inch and a half deep of sphagnum moss. Okay, I've got some plants that I'm going to put in this bin. I have a few different ferns that are from an import from Ecuador that I've been growing for about a year now, and these few ferns that I'm going to put in are a larger species. They're wanting to get a little bigger, and so the pots that they're growing in are kind of constricting them. So I'm going to go ahead and move them into this grow tub here. Let's grab the first one. So this is a fern here, one of my favorite ones. Unfortunately, I think it's going to get really big, so we'll just grow it until it gets to that point and then decide what to do at that point. So I'm going to pull this out. As you can see, it's quite root bound. It's been growing in there. Roots have been going in circles. I'm just going to gently tease the roots apart. Okay, and I will find a space for this. Just put it right about there. Next I have this one. This fern, I don't know what it is. I don't really know what any of these are. This might be in the Elaphoglossum. Alright. Pop this in here. By the way, I've created a free Moss Tips cheat sheet that you might be interested in. It covers topics in a summarized format to help you learn about growing moss in an easy and fun way. To get it, just go to anotherworldterraria.com/mosstips and sign up for the Mossarium newsletter. Okay, next fern is an Elaphoglossum peltatum. Okay, I've got a few more little goodies here. Just got some little ferns that popped up from spore from the Ecuador order. I'm going to just place right in here. Find little spots for these guys. Got a couple things here. Got another random one over here. Another fern here. Few mosses and tropical liverworts here that I'll just throw in for fun, and then they can start filling in. That's one of the cool things about these kind of bins, is that you can just put stuff in and start a little natural growing area for all kinds of stuff, whereas in pots it's not as easy. When you grow things in pots, it's a little bit more contained. One tip I have for you is that for each bin you're going to want to use plants that have the same requirements for light, water, humidity, substrate, and so on, so that they all require the same care and it's easy to handle each bin individually. In the next video in the series, we're going to finish up by adding microfauna, and then I'm going to give you a bunch of really helpful tips.